Okay, the very last thing that you're going to learn in geometry is how to complete the square of an equation of circle to find the center point and the radius. Now sometimes I'm going to give you an equation like this one that is an equation of a circle, but it's not in the standard form. So it's not easy to identify the center of the circle or the radius. So what we have to do is take this equation and rewrite it so that it is more like standard form, so we can identify the center and the radius. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is rearrange the equation where all the like variables are together, the x's and the x squareds, and then all constants are on one side. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides, and we're going to group up our x's and group up our y's, and we're going to have x squared minus 8x plus y squared plus 6y equals negative 9. So a little bit more like our equation of a circle. But when you write this down, what I'd like you to do is leave a little bit of space after your x terms and then after your y terms, because we're going to use a process called completing the square. Let's look at our x squared minus 8x. What I want this whole thing to look like is more like x minus some number squared, that number being my h value. Okay, and I need to know what number I can add to this to get that, to factor into x minus h quantity squared. Well, x minus h quantity squared really is x minus some number times x minus some number. I just have to figure out what that number is. Okay, so if I FOILed this, I'd have x times x is x squared, which is what we want. And then I'd have x times some negative number equals that negative number x. That negative number x times x is that negative number x again, and then that negative number times itself would give me that negative number squared. Okay, so I'm looking at negative 8x and I'm thinking, what plus itself? Because when I add these two like terms, I need to get negative 8x. Well, half of negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus negative 4 gives me negative 8. So I think I need to put negative 4 in there. So x minus 4 times x minus 4. Let's go ahead and FOIL this and see if we get what we need. That'd be x squared minus 8x, which is what we want. So then the number that I need to add to complete the square is negative 4 squared, which is positive 16. So I'm going to add that to this side of the equation to complete that square. If I add it to one side, I must add it to the other side of my original equation. Okay, now you're welcome to stop the video, go back, and relook at what I did here. But we're going to do the exact same process with the y part of this. Because I don't want y squared plus 6y, I want something that looks like y minus some number squared, quantity squared. Okay, I just have to figure out what that is. So I'm looking at that 6y, and I'm thinking, well, half of 6 is 3, so if I do x plus 3, I should get what I need. Let's do y squared, then that's going to be 3y and 3y and 3 squared. 3y plus 3y gives me 6y, which is what I was after. And so the number that I have to add to complete the square is 9, which is 3 squared. Okay, so if I add 9 to this side of the equation, I have to add it to the right-hand side. And now I have completed the square and rewritten this in standard form. It just doesn't look like it yet. So let's clean this up. Now remember, we said we're going to say x minus 4 squared on the left and x plus 3 squared on the right. So let's clean this up and say x minus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals, and all of this stuff on the right hand side, negative 9 plus 16 plus 9, equals my radius squared, which is 16. So now I have the standard form of this equation. I've rewritten this equation in standard form by completing the squares. So now I can identify my center and my radius. Now heads up on the radius, though, you have to be careful. That 16 is already squared. So to find the radius, I'm going to have to take square root of it. So my center would be positive 4, negative 3, and my radius would be square root of 16, which is 4. All right, let's try one more of these before I make you do one on your own. All right. The equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared plus 12x equals 13. I want you to find the center and the radius. All right, well, the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is rewrite it so that all my x terms are together, and I'm going to leave a little space because I'm going to have to complete the square of the x terms. Now notice that I just have y squared. I don't have a y term, so I don't have to complete the square with the y's. So I want all of this x stuff to end up being x minus some number squared. And I'm looking at 12 and I'm thinking half of 12 is 6, so let's try that. But I think it's got to be a positive 6 because I want those to add together to 12. So let's FOIL that and see if I do get my 12, which I do. And so the magic number that I have to add to this side is 36, and if I add it to one side, I have to add it to the other. Now, I just need to clean this up and write it in as the standard form of an equation for a circle. So I'm going to have x plus 6 squared plus, and this is really y plus 0 squared, so it's just going to be y squared, equals 13 plus 36 is 49. So the center of this circle is negative 6, 0, and the square root of 49 is a radius of 7. Okay, so now to graph it, when you're in Math Excel, oh darn, I guess I didn't graph that one. All right, well, we're going to graph the next one. All right, so, oh yeah, I did. Sorry. So the first thing you do is you're going to go look over to the right on your graphing tool, and you'll see a circle. And you're going to click on that circle, and then you're going to go over and click on the center. And we said that it was negative 6, 0, so we're going to go over and we're going to click on that point, and then you drag your circle out to the radius, either vertically or horizontally. It does not matter which. Oops, that's not it. There we go. And it's going to give you your circle, and then you click again, and that is your circle. All right. Now, I would like you to try this one on your own. So, after you write this down, and I've provided graph paper on your note-taking sheet, I want you to write the standard equation of the circle, then tell me what the center and the radius is, and then using that, graph it. You're just going to have to plot your center point, plot your radius in several spots, like vertically and horizontally, and just kind of sketch it. All right, so pause your video now. Okay, now that you're back, let's see if you did what I did. I left a little space to complete the square. When I completed the square on the left-hand side, I added 49 to both sides. When I completed the square on the right-hand side, I added 36 to both sides. And I got the standard equation as x plus 7 quantity squared plus y minus 6 quantity squared equals 4 squared. So that made the center of my circle negative 7, 6, and it made my radius the square root of 4, which is 2. So when I graphed it, it graphed negative 7, 6 with a radius of 2. All right, I think you should try the homework. There's only a few problems, but make sure that you have done your teacher talk before you start really struggling.